Labs has been having some problems. I haven't seen any dropped frames or anything like that at all stream. I've been watching it because the stream broke up a few times on Friday. Yeah, really sorry about that, guys. I'm unsure what the deal is with Streamlabs. Really unsure. Well, getting back to the crate breaking of things. Ooh, let's grab that. Another Inspector J. Maybe he's just flooding the marketplace. All right, let's see. What's the next one? A scrape, I believe it was. I can't see that chat thread anymore, but I believe it was a scrape. That's an interesting one. Oh, we could use something like that. It's a little noisy, but that's okay. Sometimes noise can be your friend. Maybe we should use something like that. It's not very clean. That's an MP3. That's too easy. That's an interesting sound. Sound of a microphone being dragged across a glossy poster on top of textured wallpaper. It's interesting. It's a wave. Maybe we'll grab this one. Okay. All right. So let's bring those into Logic and see what they do. We'll start up a new contact too. Wave life. Oh, Kobe, Scott, I want to be famous. And Opa Ba, I want to be famous. All right. Take care of those guys. Let's do this. Dropping in and out. Oh man, I hope this isn't a repeat of the Streamlabs fail last week. Not sure what's going on with them. We'll just keep plugging right along. All right, so we just downloaded these guys. Ooh, that's spicy. Okay, I think maybe what we do is we knock out something in each one of the major categories, right? So one is musical, one is cinematic, one is game, and one is interface. So let's do those. Maybe the scrape can be video game. We'll make a magic spell out of that. We could do that. Huh. Don't be a savage. What's going on with the sound? Oh yeah, The "Don't be a savage" thing is a pretty old OhmLab meme. Let's see here. Why is that not working? You like the savage? Haven't set up enough of them. Yeah, the savage one I tossed on right before the birthday stream last week, I think. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, that's what's going on here. Maybe not. Anything working on this one? What in the world? My keyboard has stopped working. Control surface. Let's try that again. Oh, nice, subvids. Okay, really, like, what the heck? Let's just save this. This is the 21st. Oh. Apparently I still have the hotkey set up for the birthday thing. That means every time I press the number 1 right now, it's going to happen. That's hilarious. All right, I'm just going to close it and open it because I'm not sure why we're getting input from the keyboard and not sound out. But everything's set up, so just relaunch really quick. I bet when Streamlabs dropped, it triggered the audio card. This should put us back in business. There's our sound. All right. Okay, some pretty cool things there. I'm going to just hit our main volume envelope down here. Give it a bit of an attack and make that a little less concave. Slight hold before it drops off. Now, we could do this a few different ways. If we do it all inside of Kontakt, we can just set up an EQ and start rolling off some of the bottom and add some reverb in there. Or I can just do it out here where you guys can see this a little bit easier. So we'll just grab some super basic tools. Yeah, me too, Nate. That's exactly where I'm going. Great minds and all that. Let's just add, again, just simple tools so we can boogie through these examples. Not sure exactly which one I want. Maybe a spring first, and if that doesn't work, maybe a hall. Yeah, it's a little too metallic. Let's get a Yeah, it did sound like a snare verb, didn't it? Okay, so now that we've got an EQ on that, taking off the bottom of it, you go with something like a ring mod and add a tiny bit of movement. Tremolo would also do an interesting thing. Chorus. You know, since we're going to be working in kontakt so much, I know I just started this, but it'd be just as easy to do this in absence since we were talking about the envelope control. So let me just do that really quick. Patch sample regular in. This one was in our downloads. We'll have to change that later. Scrape, open. Okay, let's fix the start point on this. The reason why I switched this to Absinthe really quick is just because it's so easy to make awesome things happen quickly. I'm just going to put a ring mod on here. I'm going to take this down instead of up. A lot of people go straight up for magic spells, right? Like this. Toss some reverb on there, or you know, if you go with like a simple pipe, you've basically got a sellable sound. Just kind of center this up a little bit better. Bring this down a little bit. Right? Like just so quickly you get into this magic realm, right? And it's so easy to add the extra stuff that you're missing there. But we're not gonna do it that easy. We're gonna come in here and let's bring a ring mod way down first. Maybe something like this, and now let's go into an effect. Right? It's easy to get there with a little bit of reverb or a little bit of pipe or something like that, but it's better if you add some movement and some character first. And then maybe even just go away from the ordinary just a bit more. So for instance, you could go Aetherizer instead. And then instead of just going with a simple, let's just randomize a couple of things here. Let's go up 1 octave. It might not stay at 1 octave. This is already starting to get kind of cool. We could randomize it just a little bit more. And then now you can put a reverb on it. And of course, you cannot be a savage. You've got to EQ it. Right? It's a night and day difference if you do not EQ your reverb. Things just are not going to go well for you. Oh, there's a sweet spot right there. A little bit of pre-delay in there. Cut out that spread on the low. bring up our crossover a bit. There we go. Right, so this is an easy way. When you use something like a ring mod and you go down in frequency, like you're dipping below, like even 1K. Let's see here. Where are we here? 7.23 hertz. So it's pretty darn low oscillation rate. And what it does is it takes away the need to layer in the different animal elements. You know how post Avatar era, the movie Avatar, where we kind of return to this focus of harvesting sounds from creatures in nature to give the type of character and texture to stuff, and make it really believable. Like I feel like we started to get there back in the days of like Twister and stuff, when sound design really started to hone in on animal noises, in general. But then I think we just kind of found this whole other layer when we got to the post-Avatar era. There was a lot of embracing of things that were done with Star Trek for a very long time and whatnot to create life forms that were believable and these types of things. And it's parlayed into video game and cinema now at such a deep level that it's everywhere. Well, you don't have to go through all that. You can use something like a ring mod and get a throaty animal growl kind of thing baked into a sound in just a couple of seconds, and you don't really have to go searching, especially if you're going to be creaming something out with a bunch of reverb anyway. You're going to lose a lot of the granular definition of the source sound anyway, that I kind of feel like you might as well just go for it. You can also play with mixing both a ring mod and a pitch shift together. Nate, thank you, sir. And that's also an interesting combination usually. Right, so now your ring mod is introducing this kind of ripple effect, and then you've got the pitch shift, which is adding a bit of almost like a formant thing in there, right? And you're getting a lot more of almost like a vocal-y kind of a thing. Remember, this is just a scrape. This was just a scrape sound. But the implications of this sound being matched up with, like a magical staff or something going like this on a screen, this is just going to have a bit more of an impact. It's conjuring up some ideas of what might happen when that magic spell hits the target, Anyway, so that's a really quick way to transform something like a scrape in just a couple of minutes. Let's see what this next one is. Oh, right, we're going to break something. So let's do this inside of kontakt. Let's take that one out. Oops. Did I seriously just do that? It's like a Freudian click. All right, so this is going to be, let's do a big cinematic impact with this one. Since it's such a sharp sound already, let's just creep right up to the beginning of this. It's great that it has that. It sounds like a bolt or something is kind of like rocking back and forth just a little bit at the very end. Or maybe it's just being accentuated. Maybe it's just a piece of glass or something. USDA choice. Sounds like an egg or something. Okay, just if we were to isolate this and drop it down a couple of octaves, bring it in nice and tight. and put this through like maybe a big convolution inside. And then in that, now let's drop this a bit more. Okay, so now that we've got this basic thing, instead of manipulating it to the nth degree to get what we want on the bottom end, because it's got such an interesting top end, what we can do is just toss like a kick or something in there for a base. So let's just do that really quick. And, you know, I mean, even just like the first one that we find might even work for something like this. Sure, let's just put that in there. We're going to trigger this on the same MIDI channel, so we're going to switch this to Omni. So now both these samples are going to trigger. And we're going to have to bring this one way down and bring the other one up. And we're going to have to tighten up our position here and snap this to zero crossing and snap this to zero crossing. So now it's synced up with the kick drum. Let's make our kick drum a bit more dominant. Bring that down a bit. Good to even bring in your kick to the same sample map and borrow that reverb just to put it into the same space. Which I might actually do. Maybe we will take the first one here, though, and roll off the bottom a bit. So the root of our kick needs to come down so we can hear that better. So we're going to go into our mapping editor. We're going to just grab the key, just quite literally just the key, and we're going to shift it down a couple of octaves so I can still hear it in a subregion. Ooh, yeah, exactly. Take stems, 5 different speeds, and smear them all together. Sure. Okay, this one really needs some space, and then that's going to feel good. And let's just add a little grit after the reverb on this. That's a little opposite of normal, but we can do a quick A/B. Putting the reverb over here. And bypassing this first one. Bypass the second one. It's just night and day. Bring this down a little bit. There we go. I don't need any more clean. And let's bring this top one down a bit more. That's getting closer. This needs to be shaped a bit. It needs to be EQ'd and then compressed to bring them all together, and then maximized in the end. But yeah, I mean, this has something. Let's take down our convolution a bit. I'm just using, it's kind of like a zone envelope overlay. Just to shape this a bit more here for believability's sake. Not that this is being synced to something on the screen right now. And then, of course, we've got to clean all of it up. It's got a bit of a Borderlands kind of thing going on. Anybody else feel that? Anybody else a Borderlands fan? Oh, hey, anybody check their news feed this morning and see that Microsoft got Bethesda? Man, the industry has changed a lot in the last year. Wow. Wow. What are you guys talking about? I feel like I've been ignoring this for a bit. Nate Clip, don't be a savage. Awesome. Plant Intelligence says that even flowers and trees sing songs. Yes. In fact, you know, I could go off the rails here for a whole stream and talk about this, but if you're unfamiliar with it, there is a fungus that exists in the ground and is built up around the root systems of everything in the soil. And when I was young and learning about all of this stuff, I told that these were just little tendrils of root systems in general, and that they all just kind of looked alike. And it's not true. It's recent, discoveries have been flipping the botany world on its head, because these little things are actually a fungus, and it's to our knowledge the oldest life form on our planet. Basically, it predates everything, and it's in every single sample going back, like in archaeological digs and stuff, going back to the dawn of time, like as far back as we have found organic matter. This stuff has been there, and it's amazing. It's intelligent. It's more animal than it is plant. It's even changed our understanding of fungus in general. But the crazy part is what it's actually doing. Its communication skills are insane, and it connects all the different plant lives, like all the different trees. It shares nutrients to trees. It gets weirder. It gets crazier. It gets more profound. The minerals that we get from our food are the same minerals that allow trees and plants to actually gain turgor and grow above just a few inches tall. In fact, without this fungus being present, the tallest trees on our entire planet, even the ancient sequoias, would only be a couple few feet tall maximum, because there's no minerals or ways for the plants to actually gain any kind of protein without this fungus. It's insane. You can find salmon DNA in trees in my neighborhood right here, which is miles from the ocean, by the way. And it's all because of this food sharing, this nutrition sharing um, um, situation that the fungus introduced to plant life eons ago. Like, it's just insane. A very specific percentage of all protein is split up amongst plant life. The minerals that we're getting from our food, just circling back to this thing, is coming from the fungus burrowing through rocks in the soil and breaking them down to an ingestible level, and then feeding them into the root systems of these plants. The plants themselves, the roots, are like almost non-functional for what we used to be taught their function actually is. The large degree of the nutrients and life sustaining stuff that they need to keep evolving is actually coming from this fungus. It's insane. In return, the fungus gets sugar. It's a fascinating thing, but nothing here would exist without it the way that it does. We never would have seen life on our planet the way that we see it now if this fungus wasn't there. And it's just right there in front of us the entire time. It's amazing. Paul, you taught math for 30 years, huh? The sound of mushrooms. Absolutely. Yeah, they feed each other micronutrients, and there's communication happening too, which they're starting to tune into, but it can span just miles and miles and miles. There's these warning signals that are sent out in like an equivalent of like endorphin rushes in our body. They're sent out, and the fungus facilitates the transmission of these signals to different species of plants and trees, and it's just fascinating. It's just absolutely amazing. But yeah, they sing and they talk and they move and they share. It's pretty profound, actually, what we're learning. I think a little too late. Um, let's take a look at the next sample and see what we're going to play with next. Um, ooh, the bell. Okay, let's do the bell. I want to grab some coffee. And then we're going to do the bell. Fungus, playing the long game. Yeah, well, the real long game, because we're fairly certain at this point. All fingers point to this being something that landed on our spinning rock way back in the day, and it gained traction. It's this universal thing. Oh, it's just amazing. Yeah, the biggest living thing on the planet is fungus. And this would, if they can prove the network is contiguous, This dwarfs the underground fungus that we've known about since what was it, like the late 80s or early 90s? Yeah, cannabinoids. Yeah, there's some personality in plant life here that I think we've overlooked for a very long time. Um, on that note, I am going to go get some coffee, and yeah, some get high, some get low. I'm going to go get some coffee. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. I'll even leave you with some sweet sounds for just a minute. I'll be right back. All right. Before we jump into this next sound, for those who were not here when we first got started, um, Community Sound Pack will be up after this stream. I was meaning to get it up before the stream kicked off this morning, but I was a little bit too busy wrapping up some details with some new partnerships, which you will all love. The first of which will probably be introduced this week in product reviews as we kick those off again. Cable Boys will be part of our family, part of our network here. So stay tuned for some discounts and some awesome stuff there. What else? We'll be moving into more marketplaces as we continue to diversify. For those who don't know, I did end the exclusive relationship with Native Instruments recently, just so we can get into more of a diverse marketplace situation again. People were, I think, a little frustrated that our stuff was only available in a couple places. So now you guys can use your credits and stuff in more places on OhmLab Sounds. Lots of other stuff to announce as well that I've been up to the last couple of days. But let's get into these sounds and we'll circle back to some of that. So this next one is a bell. And this was Heidi's request, I believe. All right, so let's change this one. We already did cinematic, and we already did game. That leaves musical, and that leaves interface. Let's turn this one into an interface sound. Let's not make it a notification bell. That would be way too easy. But let's do something fun. Let's do maybe we'll go back to absinthe for this one, since we have people lurking that have had it forever and don't use it. I can't zoom it, which is unfortunate for you guys because it's probably tough to see, but let's see what we can do here. Simple, sample, handbell, is that this one? Yep, we'll open this one. Okay, so there's a lag. Let's fix that lag first. Almost. Almost. If you're wondering how to find the start position of a sample very quickly when you can't actually see visually, it's an old school trick, drop it down a few octaves because it slows down the playback so much that it gives you a really very clear idea of just how much space there is between your start position and the transient. So this is almost on. Almost. Yeah, see, now it's pretty much spot on. So right, Paul? Yeah, they need to catch up. Okay, so if this is going to be an interface sound, let's see, what can we do here? Well, one of the first things we could do here is set up a simple filter. And maybe we'll just start with this one right here. We'll just right click on the frequency position and create a new envelope. And then from this envelope now, we can shape our sound. So if I bring this all the way down, up here at the top is 20K and down here is 0. Right, so I've just taken off the transient, right? And it becomes this kind of lush thing. So the next thing that I might do for something like this, especially since I'm super into like the almost hyper minimalist futuristic side of UI. Let's bring this back a little bit more. Let's go back to our patch and just switch this between sample and sample granular. And switch over to our mod page. Subvid stream is gone for you. Uh-oh. What is going on with Streamlabs? Man. They were supposed to be refreshing the hardware option for the Apple cards. And when I tried that a week or two ago, that wasn't working either. Oh, I'm sure this is probably pretty quiet over there too. Let me just fix that. There we go. That's probably better. All right, let's go back here. Let's toss a maybe a frequency shifter first. Maybe somewhere in here. I'm just going to go and create a new envelope, and this is where we will make the sound actually kind of where we want it. Let's bring this first one back a bit. All right, let's see what we can come up with here when we ring mod this. Ooh. That's an interesting spot. Let's put that same sample in over here. I'm a big fan of just playing and sharing modifiers. Let's put a similar envelope over here. Ooh, I like that. Okay, this is obviously hot. Okay, I need to fix the start point, which was 392. So I'll just set that up pretty close to that. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, with the transient in place, it does. It sounds like a triangle with the ring mod going. You just toss that back up there, and it's kind of static position. And this was a 392. Okay, that sounds kind of nice. And instead of a filter curve, maybe we'll just go in and do a simple volume curve on this instead. I think there's a lot of nice little sounds waiting for us here. Now, we could even try playing with a quick little double. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Okay, so if we put a couple different MIDI effects on UI sounds while we're actually crafting them, you can come up with some stuff that you probably wouldn't otherwise, even if it's just something simple like a note repeat. Like, check this out. We'll take a repeat down to maybe just 2, and let's transpose the second hit by a 7th, and let's just see what this sounds like. And let's bring this up maybe from an 8th, and we'll do like a 16th. Triplets. See, now we're getting into the space where it's like we've created an interesting timbre, and you can kind of exploit the timbre in some interesting ways to gain texture out of it as well. And then you can just toggle off your oscillators, right? So here's the same sound. So when I'm building UI sounds, like for a developer or something like that, this is oftentimes what I'll do. I'll take a sound in, I'll keep it fairly simple, and to create the continuity and like that contiguous character across the many different aspects of the user experience environment, you can use the same exact sound, multiple different processes, and you keep one processing component in play. And look, we're not processing this at all outside of Absinthe right now, so there's plenty of more stuff that we can do to shape and kind of polish this and make it a bit more professional and delivery ready. But it's just so easy to audition all these different types of ideas. If you're looking at some buttons or some video play of whatever you're creating for, it makes it even easier. But having some variations at your fingertips when you get started is, it's a game changer. So from that same bell, we've got all these different sounds, and then you can also play with like layering them too, right? So here's A and B combined. Oh, that's nice. Right, and now you're not layering like 4 to 8 different tracks in your DAW, and you're no CPU hit, no nothing, and that level of minimalism in your production workflow equals more mental bandwidth, which means you're going to be a lot more likely to play and discover. Right, like we've just transformed that bell in just a couple of minutes. And we've got one ring mod and one low pass filter going, and it sounded like this just a second ago, right? So you guys can see how quickly this new sample challenge being put in front of you is like, you don't have to worry about what someone else is doing, because you know that everybody's stuff is going to be so different. Okay, let's take the last one. The last example was, what was it, Birdsong, right? Oh yeah, this is Subvid's recording. And how did you capture this, Sub, if you're still around? Oh yeah, you are. You're here. Fungus equals string theory. Change my mind. Oh man. I don't know. I think fungus is I mean, it's a force. I think it's going to be found to be like a universal force, an intergalactic force. thread of saffron that looked like a clef. That seems like a pretty profound vision, actually. Inside of the flower. I want to get that in ink. Yeah, that would be tremendous. Wow. Yeah, that seems like a message. Um, grains. Was that for the bell, Paul? I ended up going grains on that first one. BT. Virgin Media. Yeah, it's funny. Once you start playing with audio logos and UI type sounds, you start to discover just how simple a lot of the most iconic sounds are out there, like branding sounds, anyway. With a Zoom H6 put through an RX7. Oh, okay. Hence why it's so clean, huh? Okay. So, all right, so we did cinematic game and interface. That leaves music. So let's see what we can do musically with this one. Let's bring it in just as a clip first, and then maybe we'll toss it into a couple different kinds of samplers and see what we can do with it. We'll have to find a nice little loop spot. I don't know if that will loop. There's some noise floor here that isn't there at the beginning, I think. Yeah, so there's a bit of a drop. And it's kind of building here. Ooh. Love that. This might be a little too noisy still for that drop, but I really like to get that. There is still a drop, but you know, maybe we'll use that to our advantage here. Let's add I'm just going to zoom in and look at these frequencies way down low to see what it looks like. I'm going to take off this sub. There's an owl in there. Oh, and that's kicking right around 450 or so. Ooh, and that was right between 2 and 3 over here. I'm just accentuating the birds that I want to hear more of. And then I'm just going to take a little attenuation on these higher frequencies so they don't get too piercing when we make this a little bit louder later. And you know that always happens. So we'll just kind of assume that it will here too. Okay, and then just right here at the very end, I'm just going to loop for just a second. And with that, I'll just pull up a little noise cancel. I don't want to take out all of this atmosphere, but I think I do want to have just a little bit less at the very end here. So I might just automate into this reduction right before that loop kicks back over. So I'm just going to audition this noise on its own for just a second, and this plugin's going to learn it. Okay, so now it's done learning, and I'm just going to reduce now. And we want to be really careful. And this is already run through RX. Okay, so what we'll probably do, and it looks like this is just a little shy of being here. So we'll just cut that really quick. Oops. And we will make a little crossfade here. We'll put a little in and out on it. And then if this seems a bit more seamless, what we'll do is we'll just automate into this noise reduction right before the loop starts. Because that way, yeah, that sounds fine, because we'll add some reverb to this, and then that way whatever reduction is doing to chirps over here just simply won't even be heard. Because I want the environmental noise everywhere else. And it seems like RX7 cleaned up everything beautifully. It's just this last little is just like a growing gentle gust over here. So what we'll do is we'll just flip open our automation and switch this over to our X noise and then our reduction. And we already found the reduction point that we like. So all we need to do now is click here and here. And we'll just slowly go up into it. And it really doesn't even need to be that much time at the end where it's reduced. We just don't want it to be too audible as like a huge drop off of sound, of ambient sound. So let's just listen to that. And it is pretty noticeable. So we'll even start it from back over here. See if it affects the pitch too much. It's a little bit better. It's still a little abrupt. It sounds like it might actually be some like maybe some distant traffic kind of noise, and those things are always kind of hard to get out in a way that actually works well in the entirety of a recording. Let's do something. Let's make this a bit more dimensional, and we can do that in one of a couple of ways. An easy way is to take something like a room. Let's take a big room. EQ your reverb. Do not be a savage. And this first one is going to be very restrictive. Think Abbey Road Studios. And by that I mean these guys wouldn't let anything between like or outside of like 6 and 6K. Ah, thank you, Subvids. Yeah, so this right here is good. And we'll just move on. And the second one, and again, you can do this with other plugins, obviously, but this is just kind of one of those trickery things that I developed years ago. It's this kind of concept around if you nest a smaller reverb inside of a larger reverb, and you manage the reflections just right, you can get a three-dimensional effect. It's kind of like this orbish kind of thing, and it's really, really nice for field recordings such as this, um, especially in like ambient, down tempo electronica, that type of thing. So let's just go into something really big here, and this can even stand up with like warped type IRs as well. And let's make this much bigger. So this is currently 120. If anybody wants a little formula, all right, so 120. Oh wait, actually. One, two, five. Okay, now before we go further, we're going to in between these add some slight modulation in here, and it's fine if we want to keep this as like an ambient background bed. We can keep something simple like a tremolo at a phase of 180, which is going to take it from a traditional like volume modulation effect. It's going to make it an auto pan basically, because your stereo channels are offset from one another. So while one is up, the other one's down. So it kind of fools our ear into believing that it's not just a volume modulation; it's a pan modulation. Let's just listen to this for a second. So we'll just take this down, and this doesn't need to be synced, obviously. This could be really low here. I'll just take the depth down a bit. So what this does is it moves the stereo position of a chirp, for instance, in one reverb before the next reverb catches it. But the catch here is that the reverb is being restricted, between, say, 600 and 6K. The larger reverb is much more expansive frequency-wise. And let's just see if we have a drop-off at the end of our loop here. It's fairly smooth. There's still, like, you can kind of hear a little bit of a drop there, but we can fix that too. And I can actually hear a bit of that traffic noise right here. So I think what I'm going to do is just going to open up our automation lane here. I'm just going to zoom back to that point. There it is. That's the traffic right there. So I think what we'll do is we'll just ease into this. Leave that right about there. See what that sounds like for us. So what did I just do there, subvids? What I did is I am easing in and out of noise reduction. So we can hear a little bit of that car noise, some traffic noise in the far reaches, in the distance. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just taking out a little bit of that. There were just a couple small little crescendo points. Like right here where it's building, I think it's really neat. And right there, I feel like it seems almost like a natural kind of swell. So that almost creams out naturally there at the end. So we'll just bring this up just a little bit more. And we'll use an automation curve tool and zoom in here a bit. And we'll just flex this in just a little bit, low concave, flex this out a little bit. So a little convex there. And go the opposite here. So it just makes it a little bit more fluid. There we go. That's pretty good. So that's all we're doing is we're just automating the reduction. What we don't want is for it to be too high during the actual bird song burst, because we'll probably hear some kind of weird warble, artifacting, swirly, chorusy kind of thing come in, because this thing is trying to remove specific frequencies. And birdsong is all about specific frequencies. So that's what we were doing there. And then what would we do with this musically? Well, shoot. This is just something in the arrangement window. So what we could do next is let's go a straight duplicate and down. And then, yes, we'll... Wait, do I want to copy volume automation? Actually, no, I'm not going to copy the automation. On this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave our noise reduction up. I'll leave it at like 50 or so. Let's just see what that sounds like in those two spots. That's okay. That's okay. And next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reverse this. Okay. All right, so let's bring this down. Bring this one back up. So now what we're doing is we're creating this same sample we've brought down a second time. And it's being reversed, and it's at a lower volume. But the whole file has been flipped. So these are not the same elements feeding into each other. For instance, this part right here is this part down here. And this part over here is this part over here. So in other words, you're going to mix together the ambient noise from the distant traffic over here and here. So it's going to create an additional kind of gentle crossfade effect of the ambient level of noise throughout. It's also going to add an extra layer of chirp presence that's less predictable, and it's also much farther removed. Um, and we're going to enhance that just a bit. We're going to turn this back up, and we'll drop it back down in a second. I'm just going to turn it back up so we can actually hear the processing here. And two things are going to happen. In this first one, we'll take down the dry by maybe 10 dB and bring up the wet just a few dB, which is going to make our overall presence lesser on this channel. And this one dry down about 6, but wet up to about the same. And we'll just audition that for just a second. And what this does is it draws us away. It shifts perspective. So proximity-wise, this is much further removed. So this is deeper into the woods, basically. And those reflections, here's the interesting part. Those reflections are different at that point. We're going to increase the pre-delay. So if it was, let me just get this right in my head. 23, so 12, 23, 46-ish. I don't want it to be, or need it to be exact. We can actually put the spread out just a bit more here, and that's fine. And we can increase the size a bit and decrease the length. So what we're doing here, the thought process here is that we're increasing the pre-delay because it's a further removed space. So it takes longer for our reflections to slap back to us because it takes longer for our sound to travel to that slapback point or that reflection point initially. We're taking down the length. So this is the length of the decay. So the rate of decay is coming down because there's a lot of things obfuscating that signal coming back to us, i.e. the trees, the forest that we're in. We're increasing the size because it's pushing away the sound from us. It's a bigger space that we're focusing on this track because we're listening to the distance. It's fine to leave the crossover around where it is. I just wanted to increase the low spread because things wash out and lower frequencies travel further than higher frequencies. It's okay to leave the high spread in because we're going to have this backed off quite a bit volume-wise. So this is what it sounds like. I'm just going to mix that in. We'll start about here. So you can hear now, especially if you've got some really good speakers or you're listening to this through some good headphones, you can hear just how three-dimensional all of this is. There's so much more depth. So this would be very easy to put some stuff over, right? Like in an ambient or down tempo or just simple electronica kind of thing. So hopefully this gives you guys some nice ideas. I mean, obviously we didn't really mess with this one, but we can just really quickly. Let's take that same sample now. Let's drop it into Alchemy. If we go spectral, we could go in there and we could erase or draw in accents in frequencies. It already went through RX7 though, so I'm thinking maybe what we do is some granular instead. bring this in granular. The needle, I think I briefly touched on this last week in one of the streams, but the needle grain shape over here, let me just zoom in on this for everybody so you can see this a bit better. The needle grain shape is fantastic. We were talking earlier about creating custom vinyl sounds, vinyl crackles, that type of thing. This is ace for that. So you can take something like bird song or rain or something like that and toss it in here, use the grain shaped needle, and it's such a skinny grain size that it adds some stuff. But one thing I really like doing is taking something like this and then making an atmosphere out of it. So give me just a second while I manipulate these. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so that's A. We're going to go back here, and on B, we're going to bring in that same exact sample, and we'll do granular again. And on this one, we'll use a different shape. Okay, so you stretch it out a bit, right? Put some guitar effects on it when I played about. Nice, nice. Okay. So now we're going to go back to global here, and let's send this through a oh boy, bit crusher down sample. Let's do a down sample to accentuate that kind of formity weirdness in there. Fripp. Okay, so now we've got one layer, the A layer, tossing out these little gritty bits all over the place, right? I'm going to turn that up so we hear that quite a bit. We'll take B down just a tiny bit. All right, let's put just a little bit of effects on this. A little distortion, some wave shaping. We have owls that live in our trees here, and I keep hearing this owl in this recording, and I think that my window's open. Yeah, this is getting good. Okay, so we're gonna let's put just a little bit of reverb on this. Let's try some acoustic. All right, so it might be a little bit too bright up high, so let's just take off a little bit there. Let's round up out of the bottom here. Right in here. I'm just damping down some of those frequencies low and high to kind of wrangle this in a bit. All right, so this should probably head through a second, and let's run these serial. And on this one, we're just going to take off just a touch off the top here. Except that added a whole bunch of gain somehow. There we go. That's better. So the only reason I roll off that drastic amount of frequencies off the top is just simply so you can still have bright elements in your mix and not have them run into all these floating things around, right? Because we've got some interesting granular kind of stuff up high, and it's moving around in space with that reverb. So just to avoid that conflict, just proactively. And let's just for giggles, let's take this away from the downsample and take it to the bit crusher just to see what it sounds like. I like the down sample. Oh, that's great, Paul. I love that. All right, so this right here, as much as you can, you kind of want to wash. I love that little bug. You get these parameter changes every once in a while that cause kind of like this freeze effect with the acoustic reverb. I actually kind of like it. All right, so B is our traditional granular. Yeah, all right. So we took our 4 samples and we flipped them a few different times each. I'm still kind of digging this. Let's see here. This was birdsong. This was birdsong. This was birdsong. This was absinthe. Using the coin sample that Heidi was liking, and making some kind of an interface sound. And I like where we ended up with this. And this is 2 layers. This is ooh, that's nice, little chord effect. This is just running oscillators B and C together. There's no processing outside of absinthe, and it's really a shared ring mod that brings this whole thing together. Yeah, these are. This is totally worth it. In fact, I'm gonna swap out. I can't remember which bell we grabbed, but whichever one it is, I'm gonna swap it out with one of mine. Yeah, this is an Inspector J. So I'm gonna swap it out with one of my bell hits, and run it through the same exact patch, and bounce a new interface pack. How many minutes do we have here? We've got a little bit of time. I'll show you how I would approach this sound challenge. So what I'm going to do is I will just hit record for a minute. And you know, I really don't even need to do this to an audio track, because I'll just bounce in place here in just a second. So I'm just going to hit record and go and see what happens. switch this back to maybe 16th triplets here. All right, so anyway, let's just go back here because we've been tripping for a little bit, and we're just going to say bounce in place on this, and we'll just get some audio really quickly in our arrangement window. And then the next thing we do is let an algorithm take over for just a second. So I'm just going to, what is this, Control X, I believe, strip silence, right? And then what we'll do is we're going to just adjust this until we can see our tails included in our sound. Post release. It's close, and let's do just a tiny little bit. Let's see here. A little bit less. Well, this is most of them, and we're just going to hit OK on this. So this is, oh, actually, that's not OK because those regions at the very end are not OK. So we'll just bring this back down. Bring this back down until we start to see, there we go, each one get its own individual region. And we'll have to go in and clean up. There we go. Now each one's getting some love. All right, let's push this back out again. I think I just kind of rushed those last couple ones. All right. Yeah, we're just going to have to chop those last couple ones by hand, I think. But anyway, I like to use the strip silence just to make it a little bit easier on myself. So strip silence, and then go in here, and then I will quite literally, I just create a new track right beneath it. And the ones that I like come down, and the ones that I don't stay up. It's just that simple. These are probably pretty quiet on your end. They're pretty quiet over here too. We'll beef them up in a moment. Both of those have legs. Some of these will have to be modulated a bit before a final bounce. All of them will come up in volume. Make this one better. That's a good notification right there. Some of those are going to sound like duplicates, but we'll figure out which one has the most definition, and we'll keep it. All right, I guess we can bring down these last three and see if we can maybe make like ringer notifications out of them or something. Okay, so we ended up with a handful, about half of those we liked, maybe a little bit more than half. Yeah, super tinny, super tiny, and we're now going to beef those things up a bit. So we can hear them a little bit better and make some better choices. This is just for sanity's sake. This is obviously not a necessary step. This is just so I could make it through my auditioning of effects and stuff a little bit faster. Yeah, exactly, Guy. That's exactly what I'm thinking of. These are, I mean, these are valuable little UI sounds here. Just having done this for a bit, I can tell when something's a winner, and I think we're kind of there with this one already. We just need to add a little bit of love to it. Yeah. Okay. So adding some heat. Which one shall we do? Hey, it's Mike. How you doing, man? Yeah, we are transforming some sounds. We're going to be introducing community challenges again. So we can start having some fun and doing some cool giveaways and all that good stuff. And today we went on to freesound.org and had people pick out 4 sounds, and we were transforming them into 4 major categories: musical, game, cinematic, and UI interface. So doing good here, man. We got rain last week, so on Friday it finally showed up, and so we had fresh air and sunshine this weekend, and feeling better for it. How are you doing? You go live today? Oh yeah, dude. Of course, Nate. This is not you're not on the clock today. This is something we'll be back on the air on Wednesday, and we'll pick it up then, and we will take a look at what people have sent in over those couple of days. But basically, Mike, the challenge is either like if you don't have a recording device or a way to capture sounds wherever you are, you go onto a site like freesound.org. But if you do have the ability to capture samples, or you just have a collection already, then you throw them into the mix, and we'll make stuff here with them and throw them back at the community and see what they come up with. But the initial challenge is just make something out of a recorded sound, out of a Foley. Flip a sample, and we're starting with Foley first, just because it kind of sets a low bar to entry. Play tomorrow. Excellent. Yeah, I love accessibility. I love UI stuff. I kind of dwell there quite a bit. So I grok. So this kind of stuff, we could easily add just a little bit of movement and shine through some chorus and obviously some reverb, but we want to add a little bit of heat there. It's not going to be anything gritty since we've already got a little bit of grit in there. So I'm thinking some transparent overdrive, mid to high frequency target, a little bit of chorus and reverb, and I'm not sure what the finish is. If it's a It's an SSL or CLA, but a little compression to squeeze it, make it a little bit more flat. Yeah, and then it'll probably be good. We'll probably make a little upload out of this one. And I kind of want to go back into our instrument and play with more stuff here too. Because I think that there's a lot of gold hiding in this patch here. Yeah, it's super, super small. It's going to have to be blown up quite a bit. That's gorgeous right there, right? Ah, see, this is up. That's up 2 more octaves. And the reason why you have to go up 2 or 3 octaves to start getting sub-presence and a thicker sound is because we're ring modding up a couple K up. And again, the switch that's being flipped there is from the note repeater. And you know, when I'm working quickly like this, another little ninja maneuver is I'll just go and I'll take everything that I captured before, and I'll just take it up. Oh wait, all, and then I'll just take it up like at least 2 octaves. Yeah, see, that's not enough. So I'll go up another one. This is why people like Amazon hire me. So I'll take something super simple. And run with it quickly, because I'll get a couple 100 iterations of something out before somebody else gets their first rev to them. Weird stuff happening there. Oh, it was doubled? How did it double? Interesting. Where did that happen? Right there. Still there. Still. Try this one. There we go. Do I have another track? Oh, that's why I have another track soloed. Jeez. There we go. Yeah, I'm gonna go back and revisit this, and I'm gonna dwell like 3 octaves up for a little bit of time. And when you guys see me next, there will be a complete new UI sound pack out. And I'll probably just toss it up into probably just the licensing portfolio, honestly. You know what? I'm going to split it up into a couple packs so I can get my contributor bonus out of it too. Double task that. You eat nachos, cheese, salsa too much. Is that a thing? Can you have too much? Can you? Really? Yeah, see, the reason why I will go back and spend like an afternoon on a sound like this is because just with the note repeater alone, making small changes here, I could, for the next hour, crank out variations on this. And why that ends up being important is if there's a whole operating system that you're designing for, you could knock out the entire thing in an afternoon instead of searching for the ethos, the aesthetic, and blah blah blah, and then going back and trying to fit everything into that. It's not realistic anymore in today's day and age. I don't think so. Yeah, sounds I make are usually covered with cheese. Oh man. All right. So I hope this gave you guys some ideas of what you can do with just some random sounds that you're pulling out of the air or offline something. But I'm going to bounce because I've got sessions today, and I'm going to need to wrap this up. I still got the community sound pack to put up, and I've got lots of other things I need to do before we meet again on Wednesday. So yeah, Mike, I could take something like a bell, just a single tap, and spend an afternoon on it and probably end up with several hundred different sounds. Definitely. Cheese and bass. Bass and cheese. Bass and cheese and cheese and bass and bass and cheese and cheese and bass and bass and cheese and cheese and bass. All right, kitty cats. As always, thank you for tuning in. Hey, who knows? Maybe Wednesday when we come back, Streamlabs will be over whatever their hang-up has been over the last couple of days, and we will be able to make it through an entire, 3 or 4 hours together, like we normally do, without getting booted. It'll be nice. Thank you again, you guys, for tuning in. Everybody, in the next couple of days, if you want to send in a sound to this between streams, I will bring it into a project before I even get the next stream on the air on Wednesday. Send it in, holler at OhmLab.tv. That's the easiest way to get it into the mix quickly. You can also share links and stuff in chat if you want to next time we meet, which will be Wednesday. And I will try to let you guys know in advance what day our product review is going to be. So those of you who are interested in the latest goodies from Cable Boys can come in and check it out. Yes. Dude, is Bill on right now? He's freaking fantastic. Absolutely. We all came up at the same time. Me, him, Richard. Like, there's just a whole old school crew. I didn't even realize that he was on today. Yeah, he did. He did a workshop for Pure Mind. Absolutely. Let me just pull up my browser. Yeah, he's great. He's always been great. Always will be great. All right, let's see here. Let's find Mr. Bill, shall we? Yes, he is live. Let me just take this down. And I will go rate him really quickly. So again, guys, thank you much for hanging. I'm going to kick you over to them. And I'll see you guys on the flip. You guys are great.